Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want to give you guys a little bit of an update on my burnout situation here in 2023. It is Thanksgiving morning, and I have been dealing with a lot of anxiety all year round. I started the year 2023 with a toxic job. I found a dream job, but then I realized that there were other hassles going on in my life, and I discovered that things were going faster. That the job might be a dream, the pace is not. The stuff flying at you at a million miles an hour. And I also had some difficulties with connecting to people here in the Phoenix area. And also I discovered that driving here in Phoenix is a lot more stressful than in other parts of the country that I've lived in. Uh, Specifically, I keep blowing my tires out here in Phoenix. I think we have a lot of just debris on the road, and also perhaps it's a sign of uh, uh, the age of the car that I'm driving. I'm having a lot of stresses with my car, and also the distances are just considerably longer here in the Phoenix area. Right, when I first got here, I had a funny story about that. I had put in something on my GPS. I looked at the map, and it didn't look too bad. It looked like it only had one or two turns, so I didn't think it was a big deal. I turned on the GPS, and it said, okay, turn onto whatever street it was, right? And then it says, drive 15 miles and take exit, whatever. And when I heard 15 miles, my first thought was the Canalway song, obviously. 15 miles on the Erie Canal, right? And I remember thinking that, I just moved to Phoenix, my new adventure, I gotta take 15 miles on the mega highway. I started singing 15 miles on the mega highway. And, just to relax myself, because it was upsetting to hear that my commute had and that was only one part of the commute, was 15 miles, right? And so I've gotten used to it. It's kind of interesting. When I lived in Seattle, sometimes I would travel to Ellensburg, which is about 110 miles away, right? And that used to seem like a long distance. Nowadays, 110 miles just seems like a slightly longer than a daily commute, right? So it's all relative, right? Not to mention, things here are a little flatter than between Seattle and Ellensburg. You do a lot of hill climbing, right? You definitely spend a lot more on gas over in Seattle for the same mileage, although you don't have to replace your tires as often. And that's just been very frustrating for me. It's not even about the cost of replacing the tires. It's the uncertainty about, am I going to get to work today without blowing a tire? Or you get to work and you realize you have a flat tire, and then you realize, as I teach at Phoenix College, as I'm going about my lecture, I realize I can't go straight home, right? I might have to sleep in the car for tonight, or something, right? Or depending on where I was living, walk somewhere, take a bus, and then resolve the tire later. You get the idea, right? That kills me a lot more than the cost. If it were simply, I have to spend an extra $1,000 a year on tires, I could probably live with that. If the cost, imagine, maybe not tires, because you actually do have, imagine the cost of insuring the car were $1,000 more here, right? Rather than the tires costing you $1,000. I could probably live with that, right? It's all the uncertainty. Or if I knew exactly what day the tires were going to blow, right? Oh, next June 1st, you're going to have to... I can live with that, right? Anyway, but it's just creating a lot of... Something happened this past week, though. I couldn't find... once again, a lot of frustration with the board game meetups. But then I decided to go to my favorite restaurant and talk to a few people there, and I'll probably never see these people again. But I actually had a good half an hour, 1 hour while I was there, and I thought to myself, I gotta do this more often. I can't really afford it. But then I realized that, this is probably, I gotta put that at a higher priority than the vacations to Taiwan, to Poland, because that comes and goes. I'm never gonna... as much as I daydream about it, I'm never gonna take my social network back home from Taiwan or from Poland. But the people I meet here in Phoenix, there's much more potential for that, right? Anyways, so I'm going to prioritize vacationing at home more so than actually traveling somewhere. I'm a little bit excited to see that in April, Jupiter and Uranus are coming into conjunction, not just for the viewing of it, but the last time Jupiter and Uranus came into conjunction, all of my stresses completely disappeared. In 2010, I had a burnout season just like this in 2010. And so I was stressed out about school. I just started my PhD program. I almost gotten kicked out, and then I met a girl who took advantage of me. And to top it all off, I developed severe eczema. And all of that evaporated as soon as Jupiter and Uranus passed each other in June of 2010. It was weird. And the eczema cleared up. I left the girl and never looked back. I caught up on my PhD. In fact, at the end of the year, my PhD advisor was asking me to go to this conference in Italy. I didn't want to go at the time because I had a big fear of flying, but I also lost the fear of flying after the conjunction passed. And I'm really excited to see it coming back again. I think this is going to play out like that again. And I'm going to take a break from accumulating so much bismuth. I have enough. I've just been very greedy and just I always think if something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So for example, my dad was very upset that I quit drinking soda. I was 17 years old. I quit drinking soda altogether. He thought that soda was okay in moderation. My thought was that if less soda is better for you, no soda is even better. And plus, it was a lot easier for me to do it that way. I didn't have to think about how much soda, when I could drink it. It was just that it's no longer a beverage. It's just like, it might be okay for you to occasionally huff gasoline or drink a little bit of bleach, right? If somebody coughed on you, oh my God, I gotta drink a small amount of bleach just to be safe, right? Donald Trump might do that. It might be safe to do it occasionally, right? After all, Donald Trump is still alive. I'm sure he has done wacky quack medicine at some point, right? But why? Why would you do it in moderation? I mean, there are better ways to keep your immune system healthy, right? And so I have a tendency to over, if I'm going to be a millionaire with bismuth, I'd rather be a billionaire instead, right? Although I got to be careful with that now because I'm really neglecting my mental health doing that, right? But anyways, I discovered that the everyday local vacations are probably more valuable than the once a year international ones.